Let's get to keep it open or close it out. We go back to the Bucs with Baker Mayfield. Some help on the way for Baker Mayfield, but it has not been good for him. Only one game with 17-plus points since Week 7, Matthew. Can you continue to start Baker Mayfield?
No, I'm going to close it out. I'm excited for him to get Mike Evans back, but this particular week against the Saints, I get it. You're like, oh, the Saints, he should light him up. And maybe we've seen that before, but look, they're just not right. Like, since Week 7, he's quarterback 22 on a points per game basis, right? 2 games. Literally, there's been only 2 games out of the 6 in that stretch where he's been better than QB 18. And believe it or not, I think maybe it's because teams are so successful at running the ball against them, or they're getting short fields because the offense is turning the ball over. But the Saints are actually a top 7 pass defense so far this season. They're allowing under 190 passing yards a game. Again, I think that's somewhat circumstantial, but still, it's just Baker's not running. He's clearly banged up, and the offense just doesn't seem right. Having Bucky Irving come back makes me feel like they lean on the run game a little bit more. And so I have Baker Mayfield at QB 18 this week. He's a closeout out for me.
Yep, I agree there. As you look at how Matthew has Baker, quarterback 18, in between Marcus Mariota and Tyrod Taylor, Baker Mayfield, who was everyone's MVP after 6 weeks, and I think justifiably so to an extent. I think the issue with Baker is that I don't think he's played a good game since Week 6. What are you giggling about, Connor?
Okay, Gemma in the chat said, next segment we will discuss Mercedes Lewis' lack of involvement on the Broncos offense.
Oh, that's good.
It's an interesting thought, idea.
At least we lean in.
Back up, Bruce, Pete. We're switching up segment 2. Good suggestion.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah, anyway.
I really railroaded your point.
Baker Mayfield, no good. He's banged up. No, he's good, but he's banged up. So, yeah, you can look elsewhere. As you can see, he's behind Marcus Mariota in the rankings. It's not good for Baker.
Yeah. All right, our running back to kick things off with Kenneth Walker against the Falcons. This is a stat that's not going to surprise anybody. He scored 1 touchdown in his last 9 games here, Jay. Kenneth Walker looks pretty good running the ball. They get down to the red area. It just feels like the lack of touchdowns have completely limited his ceiling, where you do wonder, can you continue to play him?
Yeah, I still am going to play him. He still had 13 carries for 56 yards against the Vikings. This Falcons rush defense, we've talked about a lot of the time. It's not particularly imposing. Jonathan Taylor had 1 million yards against them in Berlin recently. And I wonder, Connor, if what Brian Flores did against the Seahawks is going to be the blueprint going forward for how to play this team, where, like, the way that they defended JSN, I haven't seen that in a long time. Like, they were literally face guarding JSN with cloud coverage over the top. It was like deep cut. It was like Iman Shumpert in the finals guarding Klay Thompson. Just face guarding him, not looking at anyone else. 2015 finals, go back, watch the tape. Iman Shumpert did a very good job on Klay. But I wonder if teams are just going to sell out to stop JSN and just force the Seahawks to run the ball. Because the Seahawks, they run the ball a lot, but they didn't do it super efficiently.
No.
But, and look, it's a favorable matchup as well against the Falcons. So I would be keeping it open on Kenneth Walker. The Seahawks touchdown favorites here. They should have game script.
I feel like if that happens, it can limit JSN, but Kubiak will find ways to get him the ball. But you're right. And Flores he's as good as game planning as anyone. Like, he can just throw in wrinkles that other people don't. This one from Will Garrettson. Ken Walker or Amarian Hampton in his first game back PPR? What do you think of that start-sit dilemma, Matthew?
Yeah, it's a tough one, obviously, because we just don't know. We just don't know if they'll ever give the ball to Ken Walker in close, and exactly how much does Hampton get a full-time rollback, or does Kamani Vidal sneak in there? I have Walker like 4 spots higher than Hampton so far this week. I'm keeping it open just to bring it back to our segment. So I would go with Walker over Hampton in the first game back here, although I have both inside my top 20, obviously. But look, 3 straight games with a snap rate above 50%. Like, his 2 highest target shares of the season have come in the last 2 weeks. So they're starting to involve him in the passing game a little bit more. And it's a nice matchup with the Falcons. They've allowed at least 15 fantasy points to an opposing running back in 3 of the past 4 games. There's always the threat of Charbonnet getting into the end zone, but it does feel like, and it's weird. It's weird, like they use Walker up until they get there, and then it just, I don't know if it's luck or design, but probably a little bit of both in terms of why Charbonnet keeps getting these touchdowns. But I think Walker's the better back. I think Seattle thinks Walker's the better back, and I like the matchup. So I'm keeping it open on Walker as an RB2 this week.
Our next running back, Jaylen Warren, huge game. Steelers, Ravens, both even right now, and they'll play each other twice down the rest of this stretch. For Jaylen Warren, Matthew, he gets touches, but he's RB 29 in points per game over the past 4 weeks. He just hasn't been as effective as we're used to seeing him with all those touches.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and the Steelers haven't been as good. The offense hasn't been good, but they just signed Adam Thielen. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, and I think that gives them.
Heard he's making a big impact.
Should we talk about the impact that Adam Thielen's going to have on Jaylen Warren? That's one thing we failed to mention in our 20 minutes. We didn't really talk about what effect Thielen will
It's
bring.
like when the Pistons traded for Rasheed Wallace when they won the title in 2004. This is the missing piece for the Steelers.
That's right. I was pretty sure today that I wasn't getting an Amon Shumpert or Rasheed Wallace.
That's the beauty of this.
5 million to 1 cashes.
Exactly. Listen, I'm keeping it open on Jaylen Warren, though, because I think that the touchdowns haven't been there. The scoring equity hasn't been there as well. But they're trying to do it, right? They're trying to – he's in terms of team's percentage of red zone rushes, Jaylen Warren is top 10. Had an 18% target share last week, which was one of the highest of the year for him. He's had at least 15 touches in 5 of the past 6 games that he's fully completed. Remember, he left that one early due to injury, but so he's getting the work. A little too much Kenneth Gainwell for our taste, but you see it there on your screen. Going up against Baltimore, this is going to be a hard-fought game. It always is between the Ravens and the Steelers. I think they're going to, like always, they're going to want to run the ball. Ravens defense is a lot better these days, but Warren, because of his passing game usage, because he's out there, because it's not like Rodgers, is doing much else. I'm reluctantly keeping it open on Jaylen Warren. I am as a top 20 play. I think he's a low-end RB2 this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, what's the alternative? They're going to have Rodgers just drop back 45 times? Rodgers is one of the multiple quarterbacks right now playing with fractured bones and did not look good against Buffalo. So I think they just got to continue to lean into the run. Baltimore's rush defense is fine, not particularly imposing, though. Ranks middle of the league in terms of success rate, EPA against. So, Jaylen Warren, again, not particularly inspiring, but I think an RB2 type.
All right, guys, a more difficult running back to project than Jaylen Warren. Woody Marks against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Maybe not as difficult, Jay, when you hear that he's got 3 straight games with under 8 points. And I feel like that was the turning point where, Woody Marks is here, it's going to be time, and there's just been nothing going. And the volume is typically there, but not a lot of touchdowns or big plays and limited pass game work. Yeah,
it's funny that he's playing the Chiefs because I think that his closest facsimile in the league in a way is Kareem Hunt, just without the touchdowns, where Kareem Hunt, it's same with Woody Marks. Woody Marks looks good. He always looks good out there. It's just the good is like fighting ahead for 4 or 5 yards behind a suspect offensive line. No one works harder for 4 or 5 yard gains than Woody Marks and Kareem Hunt. But in terms of rush yards allowed to running backs, the Chiefs in the defense is in the top 5 fewest, right next to the Texans, who they'll play on Sunday Night Football. So Woody Marks, I mean, you're just counting on the touchdowns, and it's not an explosive offense. It's not a team that you expect to put up 30 plus. Just his games, I always feel like it's going to be 14 for 62 and no touchdowns.
Yeah, it's an absolute grind, Matthew. I mean, I would think that you're leaning more on closing this one out after 3 games like this.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I agree with Jay. Like, talent-wise, to the eye test, the guy looks good. But production-wise, it's just not there. You saw it on your screen. It's a tough matchup against Kansas City. 5th fewest rush yards allowed to opposing running backs. But you hinted at this, Connor. Like, they're not using him in the passing game. That's what's so weird is this is a guy that came out of college. That was his game, right?
Yes, that was his whole skill set. And that's how they started to work him in over the summer. And now he's, by default, just had to be their lead back.
Yeah, but the problem is without the passing game work and without the touchdowns, because it seems they do seem to prefer Nick Chubb when they get in close, or Nico Collins on a reverse. The fact is that he's just not getting that work. 23 receiving yards over his past 5 games. Like, not per game. Like, that's his total. Over the last 5 games, Woody Marks has 23 receiving yards. This is an unbelievable stat. But over the past 3 weeks, there is no running back among qualified running backs. There's no qualified running back that is worse in fantasy points per touch than Woody Marks. He is dead last. And so, yes, I am closing it out. He's my running back 28. We like Woody Marks. It's just, I don't know. This is a tough matchup, and the usage hasn't been there that makes you think he's going to get the fantasy production that we want.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com. And I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched. Or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.